Good evening, Detroit. This is Nash Hays with tonight's top headlines. The Phoenix Community Center was opened for the first time today. Thousands of Detroiters came to the opening festival, where Senator Lee expressed his pride as they cut the red ribbon. In his speech, he mentioned the city's interest in more multifunctional buildings like this. Later on in the program, we will offer you a chance to go with the architect through the new building and hear firsthand about how the Phoenix Center's unique framework can be applied to other buildings in Detroit. Goodyear has announced it is expanding its blimp division by opening full-time Zeppelin skin manufacturing and aerodynamics testing facilities right here in Detroit. Goodyear's financial report for the last quarter shows their Zeppelin operations to be a potentially huge growth industry. Some industry analysts have even predicted Goodyear's expansion into a full-service shipping and freight service, adding to its current manufacturing and material innovation capabilities. The very last pneumatic tube in Detroit was installed today, linking a house in the old Riverside neighborhood in East Detroit to the LaFayette Tower router in the center of the city. Our community correspondent, Henrike Gännß, has that story for us.
Thank you, Nash. I'm here with Björn, a local butcher who just got his pneumatic service connected. So I have a few questions. How did you, for example, get along without the pipe system?
Well, until recently, Ben, for example, he had to drive the van to the shopping mall.
Oh yeah, a long way.
The shopping mall, Dearborn.
Mm-hmm.
And Dearborn, yeah. And all of a sudden he got tired, I guess, or he didn't want to go there anymore, you know. And so what should I do? I called the city.
Yeah.
I called the city and got this amazing Super Pipe 5000 there. And the next day they came already, installed the whole system, and it works really, really fine. For example, come on, if you type in cheese, for example, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
then
Just in the regular keyboard of
yeah,
the yeah.
you use your computer, and then the next second you get the cheese.
Wow, that's an amazing story. Thank you for your story, and thank you, Nash, and back to the studio.
Thank you, Henrike. Let's take a break for a minute and see how traffic is doing.
As you can imagine, traffic in around Detroit today is pretty thick. It being a holiday, starting with traffic in downtown Riverside. There's heavy traffic heading over to the new Phoenix Center. But if you're headed that way on the orange train, add an extra 10 minutes to your travel time and remember to yield your seat to those less able than yourself. It's good manners. Elsewhere, train travel is heavy but steady, especially in around scenic routes. Of course, a holiday does mean less business for the Zeppelins today, so all Zeppelin deliveries are running on schedule. This is Whit Whittier for Action Detroit News.
Stay with us. More news in a moment. Welcome back. This is Nash Hays. Tonight on Safety Focus, a list of safety guidelines for using your pneumatic tube. Pneumatic tube delivery has revolutionized everyday life in Detroit. Of course, with everything in life, you must exercise a little caution, because even the most common of daily routines
Can all go horribly wrong.
Here are 6 safety tips for using your pneumatic tube. Number 1. Always keep the lid at the mouth of the pneumatic tube closed and latched at all times. Number 2. Do not rig the tube to operate with the lid open. Number 3. In case of a stuck object or a body part, first of all, don't panic or else you may get even more stuck. Number 2. Loosen the air seal with a finger or a dull household object, such as a wooden spoon or an ink pen. Note, City of Detroit assumes no responsibility for broken or captured dull household items. Number 4. In case of further emergency, type HELP into your tube command program. The tube will cease operations and an emergency technician will come to your rescue. Number 5. Pressure builds behind objects in pipe. Stand clear. Do not misuse the tube as a projectile launcher. And number 6. Do not try to send any living creatures via pneumatic tube. If a living creature is in the pneumatic tubes, type HELP into the tube command immediately, and the tube will cease operations. That has been Safety Focus for tonight. A presidential committee of developers and government contractors is exploring implementing pneumatic tube networks in all major cities of the United States. A committee spokesman from the Department of Homeland Security has this to say: "The level of control and the transparency of shipment in every delivery is a valuable weapon against potential acts of terrorism." The Detroit Civil Liberty Organization rallied against the President's Committee, demonstrating at the LaFayette Tower yesterday and calling the exploratory committee as federal invaders of personal privacy. A neighborhood in Detroit is proposing an interesting way of meeting their neighbors. I sat down yesterday with Mr. Van Duzen, a resident and councilman of the Old Riverside District, who has introduced social money in his neighborhood and is now going to explain to us exactly how his system works.
I have an elderly neighbor that lives a couple doors down from me, and let me get this turned up right. She recently got the internet hooked up to her house, but being from a different generation, she's not very clear on how to use it.
Sure.
Well, there's a younger girl that lives across the street from her that offered to help her, and in doing so the other day, when she accepted, my elderly neighbor gave her some social money.
Okay.
Well, in receiving this social money, the girl received guitar lessons from a veterinary student that lives in the neighborhood.
Okay, I see what's going on. But could I actually take social money to buy a cup of coffee, or is it different than that?
Yes, you could go down the street to the local cafe and get a cup of cappuccino if you saved up enough social money. But the purpose of the system is to encourage you to go to your neighbors, maybe someone who just recently got a cappuccino maker, and try to exchange social money for that service.
An important reminder to residents of Detroit's West End tonight. At midnight tonight, all streets and alleys between Lodge Freeway and Rosa Parks Boulevard and Michigan Avenue and Jefferson Avenue will close forever as part of Detroit's latest phase of redevelopment. Detroit's authorities tell us that the last car has been moved off the street and out of the city. Detroit history buffs may recognize this famous address in the city. The corner of Michigan Avenue and Trumbull Avenue was home to the Detroit Tigers from 1895 until 1999, when they moved across town. The original Navin Field was finished in 1912, expanded into Briggs Stadium in 1938, and further expanded to become Tiger Stadium in 1961. Not coincidentally, it was on this date, February 9th in 2007, that Detroit reversed an earlier decision to destroy this historic landmark in favor of a radical redesign that imagined Tiger Stadium as a freight receiving and sorting facility with the capacity and speed necessary to match the newly proposed citywide pneumatic tube system. The thick plastic liner goes down tonight, but it won't be until late next week when the trash trucks begin arriving from all over the United States to begin laying down layer upon layer of trash to begin decomposing into soil. When finished, the new soil will cover the original Tiger Stadium facade completely. Oh, pardon interruption. We take you now to the press conference at the Phoenix Community Center, already in progress.